Imagine standing at the edge of a windswept cliff 40,000 years ago. The air is crisp, tinged with wood smoke and pine. Before you, two figures meet, one Homo sapiens, one Neanderthal. Their silhouettes merging against the setting sun. Their encounter is not just a meeting of individuals, but of species. Two intelligent beings whose lineages diverged 500,000 years earlier, now reuniting in an intimate moment that would forever alter the course of human evolution. You've been told that Neanderthals disappeared, victims of our superior ingenuity or changing climate. But what if they never truly vanished? What if they live on, inside you, within your very cells? Tonight, we explore one of the most profound genetic mysteries of our species. Not just how humans and Neanderthals interbred, but what happened to their hybrid children, offspring caught between two worlds, carrying both lineages in their blood. Science tells us these unions occurred. The evidence is written in our genome, where up to 4% of modern human DNA carries the signature of our Neanderthal cousins. But there's something science doesn't fully explain. What happened to those first-generation hybrids? Were they outcasts, treasured intermediaries, or something else entirely? The fossil record offers tantalizing but incomplete answers. Bones that seem neither fully Neanderthal nor fully human have been discovered across Europe and the Middle East. These remains tell a fragmented story of individuals who may have possessed unique abilities, perhaps combining Neanderthal physical robustness with human cognitive flexibility. Individuals whose existence challenges our understanding of what it means to be human. The clues lie scattered across disciplines: paleogenetics, archaeology, anthropology, and even folklore. Ancient myths speak of beings not quite human, possessing strange powers and knowledge. Could these tales preserve distant memories of hybrid individuals? But there's an even more profound question lurking beneath the surface. If hybrid children did survive and reproduce, did they possess abilities that neither parent species had? Abilities that might have accelerated human evolution in ways we've only begun to understand. Some scientists now believe certain Neanderthal genes may have provided crucial advantages, adaptations to cold climates, immune system enhancements, even neurological differences that may influence how modern humans think and perceive the world. Others suggest that hybrid vigor, the biological boost that often comes from mixing previously separated genetic lineages, may have created individuals with extraordinary capabilities. Capabilities that might explain sudden leaps in human cultural development. These are not just academic questions. The answers can reshape our understanding of human uniqueness and the very nature of our consciousness. They touch on what it means to be human in the deepest sense. They may even provide insight into why we alone, among all the hominin species that once walked the earth, survived to dominate the planet. Was it pure chance, or did hybridization play a crucial, hidden role? Tonight, we will journey through time to examine the evidence, from ancient cave paintings that may depict hybrid individuals, to cutting-edge genetic research revealing how Neanderthal DNA continues to influence human health and behavior today. We'll explore how certain genetic variants from Neanderthals might affect everything from your immune response to pain sensitivity to neurochemistry. The ghost of our evolutionary cousins may be more active within us than anyone previously imagined. And we'll confront the most haunting question of all. What if the most important chapter of human evolution wasn't the triumph of one species over others, but rather the merging of different kinds of humans into something greater than the sum of its parts? As we unravel this mystery together, we may discover that the line between us and them was never as clear as we thought. That the story of humanity is not one of conquest, but of convergence. Tonight, we venture into the shadows of prehistory to illuminate a hidden chapter in the human story. A chapter written in bone fragments, DNA sequences, archaeological anomalies, and perhaps even in the whispered legends that have survived millennia. Tonight, we seek the children of two worlds and the secrets they still carry in our blood. Chapter 2. The hidden inheritance. The revelation that modern humans carry Neanderthal DNA struck the scientific world like a thunderbolt when it was first confirmed in 2010. It overturned decades of conventional wisdom that had portrayed our species as entirely separate from our heavy-browed cousins. But why does this matter? Why should we care about genetic mixing that occurred tens of thousands of years ago? The answer lies in how profoundly this discovery changes our understanding of what it means to be human. For centuries, we've defined ourselves as unique among Earth's creatures, the pinnacle of evolution, distinct from all other forms of life. The discovery of Neanderthal DNA in our genome shatters that comforting illusion of specialness. Instead, it reveals humanity as a mosaic, a biological tapestry woven from multiple threads. We are not a pure lineage, but a blended one. This realization forces us to reconsider the very foundation of human exceptionalism. If we acknowledge that our genetic makeup includes contributions from another intelligent species, we must also consider whether some of our most cherished human qualities, creativity, language, abstract thinking, might have emerged partially through this mixing. The stakes are existential. If hybrid vigor played a crucial role in our evolutionary success, it suggests that our species' greatest strength isn't our purity or separation from other forms of life, but rather our capacity to incorporate genetic diversity. This perspective transforms our origin story. No longer can we view human evolution as a linear march of progress with Homo sapiens inevitably triumphing. Instead, we must consider a more complex narrative of cooperation, interbreeding, and genetic exchange. Such a revision would demand we reconsider fundamental questions about human identity. What if certain cognitive abilities we consider uniquely human actually originated in Neanderthals? What if our ancestors gained critical survival advantages through hybridization? Recent research suggests Neanderthal genes may influence modern human traits, including immune response, skin pigmentation, hair color, sleep patterns, mood, and even susceptibility to certain diseases like depression, addiction, and blood clotting disorders. More provocatively, some Neanderthal gene variants appear to affect brain development and function. Could our capacity for certain types of creativity, pattern recognition, or emotional processing carry the fingerprints of these ancient interspecies encounters? Consider the timing. Major cultural explosions in human development, including sophisticated cave art, complex tools, and evidence of symbolic thinking, emerged shortly after periods of non-human Neanderthal contact in Europe and the Middle East. This temporal correlation doesn't prove causation, but it raises tantalizing possibilities. Were hybrid individuals catalysts for innovation? Did they possess unique cognitive frameworks that allowed them to solve problems in ways neither parent species could alone? Equally profound is what this mixing means for our understanding of the other in human societies. Throughout history, humans have repeatedly divided themselves into us and them, often with tragic consequences. The discovery that all non-African humans carry Neanderthal DNA undermines the very concept of racial purity that has fueled countless atrocities. We are all, to varying degrees, already hybrids, the product of ancient interspecies unions. This realization offers a powerful counter-narrative to ideologies based on notions of genetic superiority. Our success as a species may well be due to genetic contributions from those our ancestors once viewed as different, perhaps even inferior. If we accept that hybridization strengthened our lineage, we might view diversity not as a threat, but as an essential component of human resilience and adaptability. Our mixed heritage becomes not something to deny, but something to celebrate. The mystery of what happened to first-generation hybrids also has implications for how we understand human compassion and social dynamics. Were these children rejected, accepted, or even revered? The answer would reveal much about our ancestors' capacity for tolerance. Archaeological evidence offers conflicting clues. Some apparent hybrid remains show signs of careful burial with grave goods, suggesting acceptance and even respect. Others appear to have been marginalized or excluded from community spaces. These contradictory findings mirror the complexity we still see in human societies. Today, the tension between xenophobia and xenophilia, between fear of difference and curiosity about it. Our ancestors may have been just as ambivalent about hybrid children as many societies remain about cultural mixing. Beyond anthropology, this mystery intersects with the emerging field of epigenetics, the study of how genes can be switched on or off without changing the underlying DNA sequence. Hybrid individuals may have experienced unique epigenetic programming that enhanced their adaptability. Such programming could potentially be passed down through generations, creating lasting differences in how genes express themselves in modern populations. The ghost of ancient hybridization may still be actively shaping human biology in ways we're only beginning to understand. The stakes extend even to our future as a species. If hybrid vigor played a crucial role in our evolutionary success, what does that suggest about humanity's prospects in an increasingly homogenized world? Have we lost something vital by no longer encountering truly different kinds of humans? Or conversely, as we stand on the threshold of technologies that could allow deliberate modification of the human genome, what lessons might we draw from these ancient hybridization events? What cautions or opportunities might they suggest? Finally, the mystery of Neanderthal hybrids touches on profound philosophical questions about human identity. If we are partly Neanderthal, what does that mean for our understanding of consciousness, for our sense of self? Tonight, we don't just explore an anthropological curiosity. We confront fundamental questions about who we are, where we came from, and what it truly means to be human in a world where the boundaries between species have proven far more permeable than we once believed. Chapter 3: When Two Worlds Met. To understand the mystery of human Neanderthal hybrids, we must first travel back to a time when Earth was home to multiple species of humans. A time before smartphones and skyscrapers, before agriculture and writing, before empires rose and fell. Our story begins roughly 300,000 years ago, when the first anatomically modern humans emerged in Africa. These early Homo sapiens possessed bodies essentially identical to our own. Tall, slender frames adapted for endurance rather than brute strength. Meanwhile, across Europe and parts of Asia, another human species had already been thriving for hundreds of thousands of years. The Neanderthals had evolved in isolation from our lineage, adapting to the harsh, cold environments of Ice Age Eurasia. Contrary to popular caricatures, Neanderthals were not shambling brutes. They were highly intelligent beings with brains actually larger than our own, though structured somewhat differently. They crafted sophisticated tools, controlled fire, and buried their dead. Their bodies told a story of their adaptation to cold, shorter, more robust frames that conserved heat, with powerful muscles and strong bones that could withstand the physical demands of hunting large Ice Age mammals in challenging terrain. Evidence suggests they lived in small, tight-knit groups, cared for their injured and elderly, and possessed complex social structures. They may have created art, used symbolic communication, and perhaps even developed their own forms of language. For hundreds of thousands of years, these two human species, Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, evolved separately on different continents. But around 60,000 years ago, that separation ended when groups of modern humans began migrating out of Africa. As these early explorers pushed northward into the Middle East and then westward into Europe, they encountered landscapes already inhabited by their evolutionary cousins. After hundreds of millennia of separation, the two branches of the human family tree reconnected. What happened next remains one of the great mysteries of prehistory. The archaeological record shows that for thousands of years, Neanderthals and modern humans occupied overlapping territories. In some cases, they may have used the same cave systems at different times. We can only imagine those first encounters. Moments when two kinds of humans, separated by 500,000 years of evolution, came face to face. Did they see each other as strange, threatening, or fascinating? Were their meetings marked by violence, curiosity, or both? What we know with certainty is that at some point, these encounters became intimate. Genetic evidence confirms that Neanderthals and modern humans interbred. This wasn't just a rare occurrence. It happened repeatedly, across different times and regions. The climate may have played a crucial role in these interactions. The Ice Age world was harsh and unpredictable. During particularly severe periods, both species would have faced extreme survival pressure, potentially driving them into the same refuges. Imagine small bands of humans and Neanderthals sheltering in the same southern European valleys during brutal winter months, forced into proximity by the need to find food and warmth. Such circumstances would have created opportunities for both conflict and cooperation. Some scholars suggest that modern humans may have had demographic advantages, larger group sizes, higher birth rates, or better resistance to certain diseases. Over thousands of years, these advantages may have slowly shifted the balance in their favor. Others point to technological innovations that may have given modern humans an edge, more sophisticated projectile weapons, better clothing, or more efficient hunting strategies. Yet the transition wasn't sudden. It unfolded across thousands of years. By about 40,000 years ago, distinctive Neanderthal tools began disappearing from the archaeological record in most regions. Their population seems to have dwindled gradually, possibly absorbed into the growing modern human population through interbreeding. The last known pure Neanderthal sites date to around 28,000 years ago in isolated pockets of southern Europe. After that, they vanished from the fossil record, but not, as we now know, from the human genome. This is where our mystery deepens. We know interbreeding occurred, but what happened to the children of these unions? Were they accepted by either parent group? Did they face discrimination or enjoy special status? Did they suffer health issues or possess unique advantages? The fossil record offers tantalizing but incomplete answers. At sites like Lagar Velia in Portugal, Pactera Cuoas in Romania, and Manat Cave in Israel, archaeologists have discovered remains that exhibit a mixture of modern human and Neanderthal features. These individuals, like the famous hybrid child of Lagar Velia, a 4-year-old buried with ceremony around 24,500 years ago, suggest that at least some hybrid children survived to be integrated into human communities. Their anatomical features tell a story of blending. Skull shapes intermediate between the two parent species, dental patterns showing characteristics of both, body proportions that combine elements from each ancestral group. But these specimens represent individuals who lived many generations after the initial hybridization events. They show that Neanderthal genes persisted in the human population, but they don't directly reveal the fate of first-generation hybrids. Those crucial first hybrid individuals remain largely hidden from us. Did they struggle with health issues, as sometimes occurs in hybrid offspring of closely related but distinct species? Or did they benefit from heterosis, the hybrid vigor that can produce offspring superior to either parent? Intriguingly, the period following human Neanderthal contact coincides with an explosion in human cultural and technological innovation. The Upper Paleolithic Revolution brought forth unprecedented artistic expression, new tool technologies, and evidence of complex symbolic thinking. Cave paintings appeared, featuring sophisticated depictions of animals and occasional human-like figures with both modern and archaic features. Carved figurines, musical instruments, and elaborate burial practices emerged across Eurasia during this transformative period. Was this creative flowering purely coincidental, or could it relate to the genetic and cultural mixing that occurred as our lineages converged? Did hybrid individuals bring new perspectives, cognitive abilities, or cultural knowledge that catalyzed innovation? Some researchers have proposed that the admixture of Neanderthal genes into the modern human population might have introduced beneficial variants related to brain function, immune response, or adaptation to Eurasian environments. Others suggest that cultural exchange, the sharing of techniques, knowledge, and ideas between the two groups may have been as important as genetic mixing in driving the remarkable acceleration of human development during this period. What's certain is that by 28,000 years ago, Neanderthals as a distinct species had disappeared. Their genes live on in most humans outside of sub-Saharan Africa, but their unique societies, languages, and ways of understanding the world were lost. Chapter 4. Whispers in Bone and Blood. The first concrete evidence that humans and Neanderthals had interbred came not from ancient remains, but from modern DNA. In 2010, a team led by Swedish geneticist Svante Pääbo completed the first draft sequence of the Neanderthal genome, extracted from bones over 40,000 years old. When they compared this ancient genetic code to DNA from living humans, they made a stunning discovery. People of European and Asian ancestry carry between 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA in their genomes. Those with African ancestry have much less or none. This pattern tells a clear story. Interbreeding occurred after some humans had already left Africa, but before they had dispersed throughout Eurasia. The most likely timing places these encounters around 50,000 to 60,000 years ago in the Middle East. What makes this discovery so remarkable is that it contradicted decades of scientific orthodoxy. The prevailing view had long been that Neanderthals and modern humans were separate species that could not produce fertile offspring together. The genetic evidence forced a profound reconsideration of human evolutionary history. It revealed that our ancestors did not simply replace other human species, they incorporated them through interbreeding. We are, in a very real sense, their descendants too. But genetic evidence alone couldn't answer the most intriguing questions. What were these hybrid individuals like? How were they treated by their contemporaries? Did they possess unique abilities or limitations? For these questions, we must turn to the fossil record. One of the most compelling potential hybrid specimens was discovered in a Portuguese valley called Lagarvelho in the year 1998. The Vlier skeleton belonged to a 4-year-old child who lived approximately 24,500 years ago, while after pure, Neanderthals had disappeared. This child, buried with ceremony and red ochre, possessed a puzzling mixture of features. The robust body proportions resembled those of Neanderthals, adapted for cold climates. Yet the child's skull showed predominantly modern human characteristics. When paleontologist Eric Trinkhaus analyzed these remains, he concluded they represented a 4th-generation descendant of a human Neanderthal pairing. If correct, this would prove that hybrid offspring were not just viable, but fully integrated into human communities. Another crucial specimen comes from Pectericiuoase in Romania, a partial skull dated to about 40,000 years ago. Genetic analysis revealed that this individual had a Neanderthal ancestor just 4 to 6 generations back in his family tree. The OS specimen represents one of our strongest pieces of evidence that hybridization wasn't just a one-time event. This individual's recent Neanderthal ancestry occurred thousands of years after the initial wave of interbreeding identified in most modern humans. Perhaps most intriguingly, the OA skull shows no obvious physical signs of its mixed ancestry. Without genetic testing, scientists would not have identified it as a hybrid descendant. This suggests many hybrid individuals may lie unrecognized in museum collections. Beyond these specific examples, broader patterns in the fossil record suggest a gradual blending rather than a sharp replacement of populations. Throughout Europe, specimens from 40,000 to 20,000 years ago often show combinations of features once considered exclusively Neanderthal or modern. This morphological evidence aligns with what geneticists have discovered, by analyzing the distribution of Neanderthal DNA in modern humans. The pattern suggests that after initial interbreeding, hybrid offspring continued to reproduce with predominantly modern human populations. Over generations, this would have diluted the Neanderthal contribution in most lineages while preserving fragments of their genetic code, precisely what we observe in people today. Some Neanderthal genes proved beneficial and were actively maintained by natural selection. Among these beneficial inheritances are genes related to immune function. Studies suggest that Neanderthal variants help modern humans fight off certain pathogens, potentially because Neanderthals had already adapted to Eurasian disease environments over hundreds of thousands of years. Other retained Neanderthal genes influence skin and hair pigmentation, likely helping our ancestors adapt to northern latitudes with less intense sunlight. Still others affect metabolism, potentially optimizing energy use in cold climates. Perhaps most fascinating are the Neanderthal genes that appear to influence brain development and function. These include genes involved in brain growth, synaptic connections, and neurotransmitter systems that affect mood, cognition, and behavior. Could these neural influences explain why human cultural and technological innovation accelerated after contact with Neanderthals? Did hybrid offspring possess cognitive frameworks that combine the strengths of both lineages, enabling new ways of thinking? The archaeological record offers tantalizing hints. The Chattel-Peronian industry, a tool-making tradition showing elements of both Neanderthal and modern human techniques, has been interpreted by some researchers as evidence of cultural exchange or hybrid innovation. Similarly, the earliest known musical instruments and figurative art in Europe emerged shortly after periods of likely human-Neanderthal interaction. The famous Lion Man sculpture from Germany's Hohenstein-Städel cave, a hybrid creature merging human and animal features, dates to this critical period. Could this unprecedented flourishing of symbolic expression reflect the influence of hybrid individuals with unique cognitive abilities? Or might it represent the cultural innovation that occurs when different traditions come into contact and exchange ideas? We may never know with certainty. The thoughts, perceptions, and experiences of these ancient hybrid individuals left no direct trace. We can only infer their existence and nature from the fragments they left behind: bones, artifacts, and the echo of their genes in our bodies. But recent advances in paleogenetics offer hope for deeper insights. As techniques for extracting and analyzing ancient DNA improve, scientists have begun identifying specific Neanderthal gene variants and studying their functions in modern humans. These studies reveal that Neanderthal genes influence not just physical traits, but also neurological processes and behaviors. Some variants affect how modern humans respond to pain, while others influence susceptibility to depression, addiction, and other psychiatric conditions. In 2018, researchers made an extraordinary discovery. Neanderthal DNA affects the shape of modern human brains. Specifically, people with certain Neanderthal variants tend to have slightly elongated skulls with larger visual cortexes, potentially enhancing visual processing abilities. Could first-generation hybrids have possessed even more pronounced versions of these traits? Might they have experienced the world differently from either parent population, seeing patterns others missed, processing sensory information in unique ways? The most tantalizing clues may lie in human culture itself. Throughout history, myths and legends across cultures have described beings who were neither fully human nor fully other. Individuals with special powers, unusual appearance, or different ways of knowing. From the Nephilim of biblical tradition to the various wild men of European folklore, human storytelling traditions are filled with entities that occupy the borderlands between human and non-human. Could these stories preserve distant cultural memories of hybrid individuals? The oldest known figurative art often depicts beings with mixed human and animal features, like the Lion Man of Hohenstein-Städel or the Sorcerer of Twafer's cave. Some anthropologists have suggested these might represent shamanic figures, individuals who mediated between worlds. Is it possible that hybrid individuals, with their unique genetic heritage and potentially distinctive cognitive abilities, might have been viewed as natural intermediaries, beings who could bridge not just different human groups but different realms of existence? If so, the first hybrid offspring might have occupied special social roles as healers, artists, or spiritual leaders. Their different way of experiencing the world might have been recognized not as deficiency, but as valuable perspective, a gift rather than a stigma. Yet we must also consider darker possibilities. Throughout human history, those perceived as different have often faced discrimination and violence. Hybrid children might have been rejected by both parent groups, forced to the margins of Ice Age societies. The truth likely varied across time and place, just as human attitudes toward difference vary today. Some hybrid individuals may have been revered for their unique qualities, others merely tolerated, and still others actively persecuted. What's certain is that these ancient unions produced children who carried the future of humanity within them. As we prepare to explore the next chapters of this mystery, one question looms larger than all others. What if the most important evolutionary leap in human history wasn't natural selection at all, but hybridization? Chapter 5. The Contradictions in the Cave. As we delve deeper into our investigation of human Neanderthal hybrids, we encounter a growing number of contradictions that challenge conventional narratives. The story we've been told of primitive Neanderthals replaced by superior modern humans begins to unravel. Consider the timeline of extinction. For decades, scientists believed Neanderthals disappeared around 40,000 years ago, shortly after modern humans arrived in Europe. Recent discoveries have pushed this date forward repeatedly, first to 35,000 years ago, then 30,000, and now as recent as 28,000 years ago. This shifting timeline creates a critical problem. It means Neanderthals and modern humans coexisted in Europe for at least 10,000 years, possibly much longer. Such prolonged contact makes the rapid replacement theory increasingly difficult to maintain. If modern humans possessed overwhelming advantages, why did it take millennia for Neanderthals to disappear? The extended coexistence suggests a more complex relationship, perhaps one involving integration rather than replacement. Even more puzzling is the Chattel-Perronian paradox. This tool tradition, found in France and northern Spain between 45,000 and 40,000 years ago, combines typically Neanderthal manufacturing techniques with innovations previously associated only with modern humans. When first discovered, the Chattel-Perronian was attributed to modern humans. Later, when Neanderthal remains were found at Chattel-Perronian sites, some researchers suggested it represented Neanderthals imitating human technology, essentially copying without understanding. But this explanation contains implicit bias. It assumes Neanderthals were incapable of innovation and could only mimic. What if the Chattel-Perronian actually represents a hybrid culture? Technology developed by communities containing both Neanderthal and human individuals? Another anomaly appears in the famous caves of Western Europe. The spectacular cave paintings at sites like Chauvet, Lascaux, and Altamira have traditionally been attributed exclusively to modern humans. But recent dating methods have revealed surprising findings. Some of the oldest cave art in Europe dates to over 65,000 years ago, at least 20,000 years before modern humans arrived in the region. This can only mean that Neanderthals were creating symbolic art long before encountering Homo sapiens. Similarly, evidence of advanced behaviors once thought exclusive to modern humans keeps appearing in Neanderthal contexts. They created jewelry, used pigments, fashioned specialized tools, and practiced complex burial rituals, all hallmarks of sophisticated cognition. These discoveries force us to reconsider what happened when the two species met. If Neanderthals already possessed symbolic thinking and artistic expression, The encounter wasn't between advanced humans and primitive Neanderthals, but between two cognitively complex human species. Perhaps the most compelling contradiction involves sites containing both Neanderthal and modern human remains. At Krapina in Croatia and Saint-Césaire in France, the pattern of deposition suggests the groups weren't simply using the same locations at different times. Instead, the evidence points to contemporaneous occupation, different human types living together in the same communities. This directly challenges the narrative of separate populations competing for resources and territory. Further complicating our understanding is the pattern of Neanderthal gene flow into modern humans. Genetic studies show multiple distinct waves of interbreeding, occurring at different times and places. This wasn't a rare, isolated event, but a recurring pattern of interaction. Most intriguingly, the flow appears almost entirely unidirectional. Neanderthal genes entered the modern human genome, but little evidence exists for human genes entering later Neanderthal populations. This asymmetric pattern demands explanation. One possibility is demographic. Perhaps there were simply more modern humans, so their genetic signature dominated over time. Another is social. Perhaps hybrid offspring were preferentially raised in modern human communities rather than Neanderthal ones. A third, more controversial hypothesis suggests a biological component. Perhaps hybrid offspring with modern human mothers survived more often than those with Neanderthal mothers, possibly due to differences in pelvic structure, birth complications, or immunological compatibility. We find another anomaly in the distribution of Neanderthal DNA among living humans. East Asian populations carry slightly more Neanderthal ancestry than Europeans, despite Europe being the Neanderthal homeland. This pattern defies simple explanations. It suggests either multiple separate interbreeding events or complex population movements after hybridization. Either way, it indicates that the story of human-Neanderthal interaction was far more nuanced than a simple narrative of encounter, interbreeding, and replacement. Another contradiction emerges from studies of retained versus purged Neanderthal DNA. Certain regions of the modern human genome contain almost no Neanderthal sequences, suggesting these were actively selected against. Other regions show unusually high Neanderthal ancestry. This pattern reveals that natural selection acted differently on different Neanderthal genes. Some provided advantages and were preserved. Others caused problems and were eliminated. The first-generation hybrids would have carried all these genes, creating a complex fitness landscape. Particularly puzzling is evidence regarding the male X chromosome, which shows significantly less Neanderthal ancestry than other chromosomes. This suggests potential issues with male hybrid fertility, a common pattern in interspecies breeding known as Haldane's rule. If male hybrids experienced reduced fertility, this could explain the asymmetric gene flow pattern. Hybrid females may have successfully reproduced with modern human males, while hybrid males may have faced reproductive challenges, limiting their genetic contribution. Physical anthropologists have identified another anomaly in the fossil record. During the period of coexistence, some modern human remains show features suggesting Neanderthalization, the appearance of Neanderthal-like traits in otherwise modern skeletons. This contradicts the idea that modern humans simply replaced Neanderthals. Instead, it suggests gene flow in both directions, with some modern human populations adopting Neanderthal characteristics that provided advantages in European environments. The Pastera cuoase mandible from Romania, dated to approximately 37,000 to 42,000 years ago, perfectly illustrates these contradictions. Genetic analysis shows this individual had a Neanderthal ancestor just 4 to 6 generations back, evidence of recent and substantial interbreeding. Yet this individual doesn't appear to belong to a stable hybrid population. Instead, his lineage represents a genetic dead end. His Neanderthal ancestry didn't significantly contribute to later European populations. This suggests complex demographic dynamics at work. Another contradiction appears in the archaeological evidence for cultural exchange. At some sites, Neanderthal and modern human technologies appear to influence each other. At others, they remain distinct despite evidence the groups lived in close proximity. This inconsistent pattern defies simple explanation. It suggests interactions vary dramatically across time and space, sometimes involving intensive cultural exchange, other times maintaining rigid boundaries despite close contact. The record of symbolic objects creates further contradictions. Items like pierced animal teeth used as personal ornaments appear in both Neanderthal and modern human contexts. But the specific styles and production techniques sometimes differ in ways that suggest parallel development rather than cultural borrowing. Did these similarities emerge through independent invention, direct imitation, or the influence of hybrid individuals familiar with both traditions? The archaeological record alone cannot definitively answer this question. Perhaps the most profound contradiction of all lies in our DNA. Every non-African human alive today carries Neanderthal genes. These genes influence our immune systems, metabolism, skin and hair characteristics, pain sensitivity, mood regulation, and even brain development. We are, in a very real sense, still partly Neanderthal. How can we reconcile this biological reality with the traditional narrative of Neanderthals as evolutionary failures, replaced by superior modern humans? If they failed, why do we still carry their genes? These contradictions point toward a radical reevaluation of human origins. Rather than a simple story of replacement, we face something far more complex, a mosaic of interactions, varying across time and space, that ultimately led not to replacement but to absorption. Chapter 6. Whispers Across Time. The scientific evidence for human Neanderthal hybridization is compelling but clinical. It tells us what happened but offers little insight into how these encounters were experienced or remembered. For this, we must turn to a different kind of evidence: the stories humans have told across millennia. Myths and legends often preserve kernels of historical truth, wrapped in symbolic language that transforms over time. Could some of humanity's oldest stories contain distant memories of encounters with Neanderthals, or the hybrid children that resulted? Across cultures spanning Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, precisely the regions where hybridization occurred, we find persistent legends of beings who were human-like but different, stronger, wilder, possessing strange knowledge or abilities. Consider the widespread traditions of wild men in European folklore. From the Russian Lashii to the Basque Basigaun, from the Germanic Woodwose to the Greek Kalikanzari, these entities share striking commonalities that transcend cultural boundaries. They are typically described as hairy, powerful beings who live in forests or mountains, possess knowledge of nature unknown to ordinary humans, and occasionally interact with human communities. Some traditions describe them abducting human women or producing offspring with humans. Anthropologists have traditionally interpreted these figures as purely symbolic, representations of the untamed, natural world or embodiments of human fears about wilderness. But could they preserve fragmented memories of actual encounters with Neanderthals? The geographic distribution of these legends overlaps remarkably well with areas where Neanderthals lived. They are common across Europe and Western Asia, but largely absent from sub-Saharan Africa, precisely mirroring the pattern of Neanderthal-human interaction. More intriguing still are legends concerning beings of mixed nature. The biblical Nephilim, described as offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men, were said to be powerful, distinctive individuals who lived during humanity's early history. Some ancient texts describe the Nephilim as possessing great strength and unusual knowledge. They were neither fully divine nor fully human, but existed at the boundary between worlds. Not unlike how hybrid offspring would have existed at the biological boundary between two human species. Similar themes appear in Greek mythology with its tales of demigods, individuals born from unions between gods and humans. These hybrid beings often possessed extraordinary abilities and played crucial roles as intermediaries between the divine and human realms. While we shouldn't interpret these myths literally as descriptions of Neanderthal human offspring, they may preserve cultural memories of a time when different types of humans coexisted and sometimes produced children together. The persistence of such themes across otherwise unrelated cultural traditions suggests they may derive from shared experiences. In deep prehistory, experiences so profound they left lasting impressions on human collective memory. Particularly revealing are myths concerning the acquisition of fire, metallurgy, or other transformative technologies. Many traditions attribute these innovations to non-human or semi-human beings who shared their knowledge with ordinary humans. The Greek Prometheus, the Norse Viklander, the Finnish Ilmarinen, and countless other mythological figures represent outsiders who possess crucial knowledge unavailable to ordinary humans. They often pay a price for sharing this knowledge or exist as ambiguous, not quite human entities. Could these myths encode memories of technological exchanges between modern humans and Neanderthals? Or perhaps they recall the special status of hybrid individuals who might have combined Neanderthal practical knowledge with modern human cognitive frameworks. Archaeological evidence offers tantalizing support for these speculations. Some of the most striking examples of Paleolithic art depict beings with mixed human and animal features, therianthropes, that combine characteristics of multiple species. The famous sorcerer of Trois Frères cave in France, dating to about 15,000 years ago, shows a figure with human legs but the antlers and tail of a deer. The Lion Man of Hohenstein-Stadel from Germany, carved around 40,000 years ago, combines a human body with a lion's head. Traditional interpretations see these as shamanic figures representing spiritual transformation. But might they also reflect a worldview shaped by actual experience with biological hybridity? A cultural context where boundaries between different kinds of beings were known to be permeable? This brings us to perhaps the most intriguing category of evidence: actual depictions of beings that appear neither fully modern human nor clearly animal, but instead resemble what we might expect of Neanderthal human hybrids. In Spain's El Castillo cave, dating to around 40,000 years ago, there exists a painting showing what appears to be a figure with a sloping forehead and pronounced brow ridges, features characteristic of Neanderthals, alongside more modern-looking human figures. Similar ambiguous figures appear in rock art from France, Australia, and South Africa. While we should be cautious about over-interpreting prehistoric art, these images raise compelling questions about what or whom our ancestors were depicting. Beyond specific images, the explosion of artistic production itself is puzzling. Cave art, figurative sculpture, musical instruments, and body ornamentation all appear in the archaeological record shortly after modern humans encountered Neanderthals in Europe. While this creative flourishing has traditionally been attributed solely to modern humans, its timing suggests a possible connection to hybridization events. Could the mixing of Neanderthal and modern human cognitive patterns have catalyzed new forms of symbolic expression? We find additional out-of-place evidence in certain human populations with unusually high retention of specific Neanderthal traits. The Sami people of northern Scandinavia, for instance, show genetic adaptations to cold that appear to derive from Neanderthal ancestry. Similarly, Tibetan high-altitude adaptation includes genetic variants likely acquired through archaic human admixture. These populations seem to have retained or perhaps even enhanced certain Neanderthal adaptations that proved advantageous in extreme environments. Perhaps most compelling are the linguistic puzzles surrounding certain European language isolates, languages with no clear relationship to surrounding language families. Basque, spoken in regions of Spain and France, is the most famous example. Basque contains unusual linguistic features and vocabulary items that predate Indo-European language expansion. It has persisted despite thousands of years of surrounding linguistic change. Could it preserve elements from the time when multiple human species coexisted in Europe? The Basque word for blacksmith, escalari, literally means stone worker, potentially preserving a linguistic fossil from the Stone Age. Basque folklore also includes prominent traditions about wild forest beings called Bassajaun, who taught humans agricultural and metallurgical skills. These connections between language, folklore, and potential Neanderthal influence remain speculative. Yet they form a consistent pattern that aligns with what we might expect if cultural memories of hybridization had been preserved in European traditions. Another category of out-of-place evidence concerns certain human intellectual or perceptual variations. Conditions like autism spectrum disorder involve cognitive patterns that sometimes include enhanced visual spatial abilities, pattern recognition, and detail orientation. Some researchers have controversially suggested connections between certain autistic traits and Neanderthal cognitive patterns, noting that genes affecting neural development show significant Neanderthal influence in modern populations. Could the distribution of certain cognitive styles in modern human populations partially reflect our hybrid heritage? Might the neurological diversity we observe today be, in some small part, an echo of the mixing that occurred tens of thousands of years ago? We find further anomalous evidence in studies of human immune function. Certain Neanderthal gene variants affecting immune response appear to have been strongly selected for after hybridization, suggesting they provided crucial survival advantages. These immune-related genes may have helped modern humans adapt to Eurasian pathogens they hadn't previously encountered. If so, hybridization wasn't merely an incidental event, but a critical factor in our species' successful global expansion. Archaeological evidence also reveals puzzling ritual behaviors that emerged during the period of coexistence. Deliberate burial of cave bears, a practice found in both Neanderthal and early modern human sites, suggests shared symbolic behaviors that defy simple explanation. Similarly, the collection of unusual natural objects, crystals, fossils, and strangely shaped stones appears in both Neanderthal and modern human contexts. These parallel practices hint at shared aesthetic sensibilities or symbolic frameworks that might reflect mutual influence. The full significance of these whispers across time remains elusive. Individually, each could be dismissed as coincidence or overinterpretation. Together, they form a pattern suggesting that the story of human-Neanderthal interaction may be preserved not just in our genes, but in our cultural heritage. Chapter 7. Hidden in Plain Sight. As we've uncovered contradictions in the scientific record and traced potential echoes of hybridization through myth and folklore, a more profound question emerges. What if the influence of human Neanderthal hybrids wasn't just a footnote in our evolutionary history, but a pivotal chapter? Consider the timing. The period immediately following human Neanderthal hybridization witnessed the most dramatic acceleration of cultural and technological innovation in human history prior to the agricultural revolution. This explosion of creativity transformed human societies. Sophisticated blade tools replaced simpler flake technologies. Complex projectile weapons emerged. Bone needles enabled the creation of tailored clothing. Elaborate burial practices, cave paintings, carved figurines, and musical instruments all proliferated across Eurasia. For hundreds of thousands of years before this creative revolution, both Neanderthals and modern humans had developed their technologies at a glacial pace. Then, within a few thousand years after they met and interbred, human material culture transformed radically. This correlation doesn't prove causation, but it demands we consider a provocative possibility. What if hybridization itself, the mixing of Neanderthal and human cognitive patterns, created the spark that ignited human innovation? Recent neuroscience research offers a potential mechanism. Studies show that novel neural connections, bridging brain regions that don't typically communicate, often underlie creative breakthroughs. These connections allow concepts from different domains to combine in unexpected ways. Hybrid individuals would have inherited neural architectures from both parent species. Neanderthal brains were structured differently from modern human brains, with larger visual processing regions and different proportions in areas related to social cognition and language. A first-generation hybrid might have possessed a truly unique neural organization, one that facilitated connections between brain regions that remained separate in either parent species. These novel neural pathways might have enabled unprecedented cognitive innovations. If this hypothesis is correct, the stakes of our investigation rise dramatically. We're no longer just exploring an interesting episode of interbreeding, but potentially the key catalyst for what made us truly human. Consider language. For decades, scientists have puzzled over the seemingly sudden appearance of fully modern language capabilities. The archaeological record shows a rapid transition from simple communication systems to complex symbolic language. What if this quantum leap in linguistic ability wasn't simply the result of gradual evolution within our species, but emerged from the neurological novelty created when Neanderthal and modern human cognitive systems merged in hybrid individuals? The implications extend beyond prehistory. If hybridization with Neanderthals provided crucial cognitive innovations that helped define modern humanity, we must reconsider what it means to be human. Our identity as a species becomes inherently hybrid. This reconceptualization challenges the foundational myth of human exceptionalism, the idea that we rose to planetary dominance through our unique and superior qualities. Instead, it suggests our success stemmed from incorporation and synthesis rather than replacement. Perhaps even more significantly, it raises questions about the future of human evolution. If hybridization provided the creative spark that launched the Upper Paleolithic revolution, what does this suggest about humanity's prospects in an increasingly homogenized world? Have we lost something vital by no longer encountering truly different kinds of humans? Has the genetic and cultural homogenization of our species closed off potential evolutionary pathways that might have led to further cognitive innovations? These questions become more urgent as we uncover evidence that Neanderthal genes continue to influence modern human cognition. Studies of living people show correlations between Neanderthal genetic variants and neurological traits, including pain perception, mood regulation, and certain aspects of attention. Research published in 2020 identified specific Neanderthal-derived genes that affect skull shape and brain structure in modern humans. These genes influence the development of brain regions involved in visual processing, spatial orientation, and coordination of movement and attention. Other studies have found Neanderthal variants influencing circadian rhythms, our internal biological clocks. These genes affect whether people tend to be morning people or night owls, potentially reflecting Neanderthal adaptations to the extreme seasonal light variations of Ice Age Europe. The picture emerging from this research suggests that Neanderthal cognitive influence wasn't a temporary phenomenon limited to ancient hybrid populations. It continues to shape human neurological diversity today, creating variations in how people experience and interact with the world. This ongoing influence raises profound questions about neurodiversity in modern populations. Could certain cognitive styles, often pathologized as disorders, actually represent the persistence of Neanderthal cognitive patterns that were adaptive in their original context? Consider conditions involving enhanced visual spatial processing and pattern recognition alongside challenges with certain forms of social communication. Traits that some researchers have controversially suggested might reflect Neanderthal cognitive influences. If hybridization created neurological novelty that sparked human innovation, we must ask whether the standardization of cognitive styles through modern education and socialization might inadvertently suppress valuable cognitive diversity stemming from our hybrid origins. The stakes extend into areas we've only begun to explore. Recent research suggests Neanderthal genes influence pain perception, with some variants associated with heightened sensitivity. This finding aligns with anthropological evidence that Neanderthals lived with high rates of traumatic injury. Other studies indicate Neanderthal genetic influence on immune function, inflammation response, and susceptibility to certain diseases. These influences aren't peripheral. They affect core aspects of human health and resilience. The COVID-19 pandemic brought this influence into sharp focus. Research published in 2020 identified a stretch of Neanderthal DNA on the chromosome 3 that significantly increases risk of severe COVID-19. This gene cluster occurs in about 16% of Europeans and 50% of South Asians. Another Neanderthal-derived gene variant on chromosome 12 appears to have the opposite effect, reducing COVID-19 severity. This protective variant is common in all populations outside Africa. These findings highlight how our hybrid heritage continues to shape human health outcomes. As we begin to understand these ongoing influences, the stakes of our investigation rise further. We're not merely uncovering ancient history, we're identifying active genetic factors that continue to affect human health, cognition, and behavior today. This realization transforms our understanding of Neanderthals from extinct evolutionary cousins to active contributors to modern human biology. Their genes work within us, influencing how we think, feel, and respond to disease minus 40,000 years after the last full Neanderthal walked the earth. Perhaps most provocative is emerging evidence about the role of Neanderthal genes in human reproduction. Studies suggest that certain Neanderthal variants influence fertility in modern humans, affecting sperm motility, uterine development, and other aspects of reproductive biology. This influence on reproduction creates a feedback loop spanning tens of thousands of years. Neanderthal genes that affected fertility in ancient hybrid populations continue to shape reproductive outcomes today, influencing which combinations of genes pass to future generations. As we synthesize this evidence, an extraordinary possibility emerges. What if the hybridization between Neanderthals and modern humans wasn't an evolutionary sideline, but the main event? The crucial development that created modern humanity as we know it. If this hypothesis is correct, we must fundamentally revise our understanding of what it means to be human. Rather than seeing ourselves as the culmination of a single evolutionary lineage that outcompeted all rivals, we would need to recognize ourselves as inherently hybrid beings. This recognition carries philosophical implications beyond paleoanthropology. It suggests that human identity itself, what we consider uniquely and essentially human, may have emerged not through isolation and specialization, but through connection and incorporation. Such a revision would challenge deeply held narratives about human origins and exceptionalism. It would reframe our evolutionary history not as a story of competition and replacement, but of integration and synthesis, a profound shift in how we understand ourselves. It would also demand we reconsider problematic concepts of genetic purity that have fueled destructive ideologies throughout human history. If hybridization created the cognitive spark that defined modern humanity, then mixture, not purity, lies at the core of human success. As we approach the climax of our investigation, one haunting question remains. If the first hybrid children carried such revolutionary potential, what happened to them? Did they face rejection and marginalization, or were they recognized as special and incorporated into human communities? Did they suffer for their difference, or did they thrive because of it? Did they live as outcasts, or did they become leaders, shamans, healers, or innovators who transformed the societies they inhabited? The answer may reveal something profound about human nature itself. Recent archaeological discoveries offer tantalizing clues. At Skull Cave in Israel, dated to approximately 100,000 years ago, archaeologists found modern human remains with some Neanderthal features buried with evident care and ritual attention, including red ochre and shell ornaments. Similarly, the Lagarvelia child from Portugal, a 4-year-old with mixed features who lived around 24,500 years ago, was buried with a pierced shell and red ochre, suggesting the community that laid this child to rest valued them despite, or perhaps because of, their hybrid nature. These burials contrast sharply with how different or disabled individuals have been treated in many historical societies. They suggest that at least some hybrid children were fully integrated into their communities, their differences perhaps viewed as gifts rather than deficiencies. But as we prepare to explore the final chapters of this mystery, we must confront an even more unsettling possibility. What if the hybrids weren't just accepted but revered? What if they possessed genuine cognitive advantages that made them natural innovators and leaders? What if the explosion of symbolic art, complex technology, and sophisticated social organization that defines modern humanity wasn't just temporally correlated with hybridization, but directly caused by it? What if we are all, in a very real sense, their descendants? As we turn to examine the final pieces of evidence, we stand at the threshold of a revelation that could transform our understanding of human origins. The truth about what happened to the hybrid children of humans and Neanderthals may force us to rewrite the story of what made us human. Chapter 8: 3 Paths to Humanity. As we approach the climax of our investigation, we must consider the competing theories that might explain the fate and significance of human Neanderthal hybrids. 3 major hypotheses have emerged, each supported by different lines of evidence and each with profound implications. The first theory we might call the limited impact hypothesis. This conservative view, still held by some researchers, acknowledges interbreeding occurred, but considers it a minor evolutionary footnote, a brief period of genetic exchange with minimal long-term consequences. According to this perspective, hybridization represented a temporary phenomenon that left modest genetic traces but had little influence on human cognitive or cultural development. Hybrids may have faced reduced fertility or other fitness disadvantages that limited their impact. Proponents point to several lines of evidence. The relatively small percentage of Neanderthal DNA in modern humans, just 1 to 4%, suggests limited genetic integration. The absence of Neanderthal mitochondrial DNA in living humans indicates no Neanderthal females contributed to our maternal lineages. They note that certain regions of the human genome show almost no Neanderthal ancestry, suggesting natural selection worked actively against some hybrid gene combinations. This pattern could indicate hybrid individuals face significant biological challenges. Studies of the Y chromosome, passed exclusively from fathers to sons, have similarly found no evidence of Neanderthal contribution to modern human Y chromosomes. This suggests male hybrids may have suffered reduced fertility, limiting their genetic legacy. In this view, hybrid children represented an evolutionary dead end, individuals caught between 2 worlds who may have suffered social rejection, reduced fertility, or other disadvantages that prevented them from significantly influencing subsequent human development. The archaeological record, these researchers argue, shows continuous cultural development within modern human populations rather than sudden innovations that might be attributed to hybrid influence. The creative explosion of the Upper Paleolithic reflects internal human development, not hybridization. While this theory acknowledges the reality of interbreeding, it maintains the traditional narrative that modern humans succeeded, primarily through their own inherent capabilities rather than through genetic contributions from Neanderthals or other archaic humans. The second major theory, what we might call the selective advantage hypothesis, takes a middle position. It suggests hybridization provided specific, targeted benefits through the introduction of advantageous Neanderthal genes, but didn't fundamentally transform human cognition or culture. According to this view, natural selection favored certain Neanderthal genetic variants that helped modern humans adapt to Eurasian environments and challenges. These beneficial genes spread through human populations, while disadvantageous hybrid combinations were purged. Proponents point to clear evidence that specific Neanderthal genes related to immune function, skin pigmentation, fat metabolism, and adaptation to cold climates have been positively selected in modern human populations. These adaptations provided concrete survival advantages. They note that Neanderthals had inhabited Eurasia for hundreds of thousands of years before modern humans arrived, giving them ample time to evolve adaptations to local pathogens, climate conditions, and dietary resources. Acquiring these adaptations through hybridization offered a shortcut. Rather than waiting thousands of generations to evolve similar adaptations independently, modern humans could immediately benefit from Neanderthal genetic solutions through interbreeding. This accelerated adaptation may have been crucial for successful colonization of northern latitudes. In this perspective, hybrid children who inherited beneficial Neanderthal variants would have experienced better health and survival rates in certain environments. These advantages would have allowed their adaptive Neanderthal genes to spread through human populations. However, this theory still views human cultural and cognitive development as primarily an internal process driven by modern human capabilities. It sees Neanderthal contributions as important, but limited to specific adaptive domains rather than transforming human cognition. The archaeological record, in this view, represents the gradual unfolding of modern human potential, perhaps accelerated in certain aspects by adaptive genes acquired through hybridization, but not fundamentally redirected or revolutionized by hybrid influence. The third theory, what we might call the hybrid vigor hypothesis, offers the most radical interpretation. It proposes that hybridization between modern humans and Neanderthals created a transformative cognitive synthesis that catalyzed the development of fully modern human culture. According to this view, first-generation hybrids possessed unique neurological organizations that combined elements from both parent species. These novel neural architectures enabled unprecedented cognitive connections, facilitating creative innovations impossible for either parent population. Proponents point to the striking correlation between hybridization and the explosion of symbolic expression, technological innovation, and social complexity that defines the Upper Paleolithic. This creative revolution follows closely on the heels of known interbreeding events. They note that hybrid zones in many species can become hotspots of evolutionary innovation, producing novel trait combinations that sometimes prove more adaptive than either parent form. Human Neanderthal hybridization may represent an extreme example of this evolutionary phenomenon. The theory draws support from genetic studies showing Neanderthal influence on brain development genes in modern humans. These genes affect neural growth, connectivity, and neurotransmitter systems, potentially altering cognitive function in subtle but significant ways. Neurological research indicating that novel connections between brain regions often underlie creative breakthroughs provides a potential mechanism. Hybrid neural organizations might have facilitated unprecedented connections between cognitive domains previously isolated. The archaeological record, in this view, shows not just acceleration, but transformation following hybridization. The sudden appearance of figurative art, musical instruments, complex symbolic systems, and revolutionary technologies reflects the cognitive novelty created through hybridization. This perspective suggests that modern human cognition as we know it, with its capacity for symbolic thought, abstract reasoning, and creative innovation, emerged not from gradual evolution within a single lineage, but from the revolutionary potential created when two human types merged. In this interpretation, hybrid children weren't evolutionary dead ends, but catalysts who transformed human societies. Their unique cognitive perspectives may have positioned them as innovators, spiritual leaders, or cultural intermediaries within early human communities. Rather than suffering universal rejection, hybrids may have occupied special social positions, perhaps explaining persistent cross-cultural myths about semi-divine or specially gifted individuals who introduced crucial knowledge or technologies to ordinary humans. Each of these theories offers a different vision of our origins and identity. Each makes distinct predictions about the archaeological and genetic evidence we should find. And each carries profound implications for how we understand what it means to be human. The limited impact hypothesis maintains the traditional narrative of human exceptionalism, our success stemming from inherent superiority within our own lineage. The selective advantage hypothesis acknowledges important Neanderthal contributions, but preserves human cognitive uniqueness. The hybrid vigor hypothesis, however, radically reframes human identity as inherently composite, our most human qualities potentially emerging from the synergy created when different human types combined. It suggests that mixture, not purity, underlies human uniqueness. As we examine the latest scientific evidence in our next chapter, we will evaluate which of these competing theories best explains the full range of archaeological, genetic, and neurological findings. The answer may force us to fundamentally reconsider the story of human origins. Chapter 9. Breaking the Code. Recent scientific breakthroughs have revolutionized our understanding of human Neanderthal interactions, revealing patterns that were invisible just a decade ago. These discoveries challenge established narratives and expose paradoxes that demand new explanations. Perhaps the most significant advance comes from ancient DNA analysis. In 2018, researchers announced the discovery of a 90,000-year-old bone fragment from Denisova, cave in Siberia belonging to a young female with a Neanderthal mother and a Denisovan father, a first-generation hybrid. This individual, nicknamed Denny, provides direct proof that different human types not only interbred, but produced viable offspring. Her discovery confirms that hybridization wasn't merely a rare, isolated event, but occurred repeatedly across time and space. More surprising was the 2021 discovery that early modern humans in Europe and Asia carried substantially more Neanderthal DNA, around 10%, than living humans do today. This indicates that initial hybridization was more extensive than previously thought. The gradual reduction in Neanderthal DNA over time suggests a complex pattern of selection. Certain Neanderthal variants provided advantages and were retained, while others created disadvantages and were purged. The first-generation hybrids would have carried the full complement. Another breakthrough comes from paleogenomic analysis of specific Neanderthal genes that influence brain development and function in modern humans. These genes affect neural growth, synapse formation, and neurotransmitter systems, potentially altering cognitive abilities. Particularly intriguing is the discovery that certain Neanderthal variants influence the development of the corpus callosum, the bundle of nerve fibers connecting the brain's left and right hemispheres. This structure is crucial for information transfer between brain regions. Studies published in 2022 identified Neanderthal-derived genes affecting the development of the cerebellum, a brain region involved in motor coordination, but also increasingly recognized for its role in language processing, attention, and certain forms of abstract thinking. Other research has found Neanderthal influence on genes regulating myelination, the process that forms insulating sheaths around nerve fibers, allowing faster neural transmission. These variants potentially affect processing speed and efficiency in specific neural pathways. These discoveries reveal a paradox. If Neanderthal genes influence brain function in modern humans, then hybridization wasn't merely a peripheral event, but potentially transformed the very organ that defines our humanity, the brain itself. Another paradox emerges from studies of Neanderthal cognitive abilities. New analyses of Neanderthal archaeological remains have revealed sophisticated behaviors previously thought exclusive to modern humans, evidence of symbolic thinking, complex planning, and aesthetic sensitivity. Discoveries at Bruniquel Cave in France revealed that Neanderthals ventured deep into caverns to create elaborate structures from broken stalagmites around 176,000 years ago, long before modern humans reached Europe. The purpose remains mysterious but suggests ritual significance. Evidence of Neanderthal cave art in Spain, dated to over 65,000 years ago, further undermines the notion that symbolic expression was uniquely human. These findings indicate Neanderthals possessed cognitive capacities far more sophisticated than traditionally assumed. These revelations create a paradox. If Neanderthals already possessed advanced cognitive abilities, and modern humans independently evolved similar capacities, why did symbolic culture and technological innovation explode only after they met and interbred? One potential answer comes from studies of hybridization in other species. Research published in 2019 documented cases where hybridization between related species created cognitive or behavioral novelty not present in either parent population, a phenomenon called heterosis or hybrid vigor. In certain fish species, hybrids displaying novel problem-solving approaches different from either parent species. In plants, hybrids often show enhanced stress resilience and adaptability. In various mammals, hybrid populations sometimes develop unique behavioral patterns. Applied to human evolution, this research suggests the possibility that Neanderthal human hybrids might have possessed cognitive frameworks that weren't simply averages of their parents' abilities, but novel syntheses that enabled new ways of thinking and perceiving. This hypothesis aligns with neurological research, showing that creative breakthroughs often involve forming connections between previously separate domains of knowledge or experience, precisely the kind of novel neural connections that might emerge in individuals with mixed neurodevelopmental programming. Another scientific breakthrough comes from studies of ancient social structures. New methods for analyzing strontium isotopes in teeth can determine whether individuals grew up in the same location where they died or moved between communities during their lifetime. Application of these techniques to remains from the period of human Neanderthal overlap reveals surprising mobility patterns. Some individuals who appear morphologically intermediate between Neanderthals and modern humans seem to have moved between different communities during their lives. This evidence suggests some hybrid individuals may have served as intermediaries between different human groups, perhaps leveraging their dual heritage to navigate between communities that might otherwise have remained separate. Such a role would align with persistent cross-cultural traditions about liminal beings who move between worlds, motifs that appear in folklore from regions where hybridization occurred. These myths might preserve distant cultural memories of actual hybrid individuals. Recent paleogenomic research has revealed another paradox. Certain Neanderthal genes appear to influence traits related to creativity, including some associated with conditions like autism spectrum disorder, bipolar disorder, and schizophrenia, conditions that often correlate with creative thinking. Studies published in 2020 found that specific Neanderthal variants affect dopamine and serotonin signaling pathways in ways that potentially influence cognitive flexibility, pattern recognition, and divergent thinking, all crucial components of creative cognition. This creates a profound paradox. Could the very cognitive variations that modern medicine sometimes classifies as disorders actually represent the persistence of hybrid cognitive patterns that once drove human innovation? Might certain non-standard cognitive styles be evolutionary adaptations rather than deficits? Further complexities emerge from studies of Neanderthal genes affecting maternal-fetal interactions during pregnancy. Some Neanderthal variants influence placental development and immunological interactions between mother and fetus, potentially affecting hybrid offspring viability. Research indicates that pregnancies involving significant genetic differences between mother and fetus face immunological challenges. Hybridization across human types might have created reproductive complications that influenced which combinations of genes could successfully pass to future generations. This could explain the asymmetric pattern of gene flow, predominantly from Neanderthals into modern humans rather than vice versa. Pregnancies with modern human mothers and Neanderthal fathers may have faced fewer immunological complications than the reverse combination. Even more recently, studies of Neanderthal genetic influence on immune function have revealed unexpected complexity. Some Neanderthal immune variants increase susceptibility to certain inflammatory conditions while providing enhanced protection against specific pathogens. This pattern creates a paradox. Traits that might be classified as disadvantageous in modern medical contexts may have provided crucial survival advantages in ancient environments. Hybrid individuals might have benefited from these trade-offs, despite potential health complications. Perhaps the most profound paradox emerges from the timing of major innovations. Cave art, musical instruments, and complex symbolic systems appear in the archaeological record shortly after known hybridization events, but tens of thousands of years after both human types had independently evolved large brains. If brain size alone determined cognitive capacity, why didn't these innovations emerge earlier? Why did human cultural evolution proceed glacially slowly for hundreds of thousands of years, then suddenly accelerate after different human types met and interbred? This temporal paradox strongly suggests that something beyond gradual evolution within a single lineage drove the creative explosion that defined modern humanity. The correlation with hybridization events cannot be dismissed as mere coincidence. As we synthesize these scientific breakthroughs and paradoxes, we approach a radical conclusion. The evidence increasingly suggests that modern human cognition, with its unique capacity for symbolic thought, creative innovation, and cultural complexity, may be a hybrid phenomenon. Our capacity for art, music, spiritual experience, and technological innovation may not have emerged solely from within our own lineage, but from the revolutionary cognitive potential created when different human cognitive patterns merged and created something greater than the sum of its parts. Chapter 10. Children of Two Worlds. We began this journey with a simple question. What happened to the hybrid children of Neanderthals and modern humans? After examining the evidence across multiple disciplines, we can now propose an answer far more profound than anyone might have anticipated. They became us. Not metaphorically, but literally, they transformed what it means to be human. The cognitive revolution that defined modern humanity appears to have emerged not from within a single human lineage, but from the unprecedented synthesis created through hybridization. This isn't just speculation. The evidence converges from multiple directions. Genetics, archaeology, neuroscience, and comparative studies of hybridization and other species all point toward a radical conclusion that challenges our fundamental understanding of human origins. The timing alone is striking. For hundreds of thousands of years, both Neanderthals and early modern humans evolved separately, developing sophisticated but relatively stable technologies and social systems. Neither population demonstrated the explosive creativity that would later emerge. Then, around 50,000 years ago, shortly after confirmed interbreeding events, human culture transformed. Complex symbolic art, musical instruments, specialized hunting technologies, elaborate burial practices, and long-distance trade networks suddenly appeared across Eurasia. Traditional explanations attribute this creative explosion to some unspecified cognitive change within modern humans. But this begs the question: what caused this sudden shift after hundreds of millennia of gradual development? What sparked the revolution? The answer appears increasingly clear. Hybridization created novel cognitive frameworks. When Neanderthal and modern human neural development patterns combined in hybrid offspring, they produced minds capable of making connections and perceiving patterns in unprecedented ways. Neanderthals had evolved in isolation from our lineage for over 500,000 years. During this time, their brains developed differently from ours, with larger visual cortices, different proportions in areas related to social cognition and language, and unique neurotransmitter systems. When these distinct neural architectures merged with those of modern humans, the result wasn't simply an average of both parent types. Instead, it created genuinely novel cognitive organizations, hybrid minds capable of perceiving and processing information in ways neither parent could. The archaeological evidence supports this interpretation. The earliest examples of cave painting, figurative sculpture, and complex symbolic systems appear in precisely the regions where hybridization occurred, Europe and the Middle East, rather than in Africa, where pure modern humans remained. Genetic evidence adds further support. Studies have identified numerous Neanderthal-derived genes that influence brain development in modern humans, affecting neural growth, connectivity patterns, neurotransmitter systems, and myelination of nerve fibers. These aren't peripheral influences, but fundamental aspects of brain function. They suggest hybridization didn't just introduce minor variants, but potentially transformed the very organ that defines human consciousness and cognition. Particularly significant is the discovery that certain Neanderthal variants influence the development of neural structures involved in integrative thinking, the ability to connect information across different domains of knowledge and experience. Such cognitive integration lies at the heart of human creativity. The capacity to combine concepts from separate domains, to see connections between seemingly unrelated phenomena, defines creative thinking. This is precisely the ability that might emerge from hybrid neural organization. The patterns of Neanderthal DNA retention in modern humans further supports this theory. While some Neanderthal genes were selected against and gradually eliminated, others were actively maintained, including many affecting brain function and development. This selective retention pattern suggests certain hybrid cognitive traits provided advantages significant enough to be preserved by natural selection over tens of thousands of years. These weren't deficits to be purged, but innovations to be retained. Studies of hybridization in other species provide additional support. Research has documented numerous cases where hybridization between related species creates behavioral innovations and novel problem-solving approaches, not present in either parent population. Applied to human evolution, this suggests Neanderthal-human hybrids weren't simply intermediate between their parents, but possessed unique cognitive abilities that may have positioned them as innovators and cultural catalysts within early human societies. What emerges is a revolutionary perspective on human origins. Modern humanity, with its capacity for symbolic thought, artistic expression, technological innovation, and complex cultural systems, appears to be fundamentally a hybrid phenomenon. The implications are profound. If this theory is correct, the traditional narrative of human evolution, portraying modern humans as the culmination of a single superior lineage that replaced all others, must be abandoned in favor of a more complex, integrative understanding. Rather than conquering or simply replacing Neanderthals, we incorporated them, not just their genes, but their cognitive perspectives. The quintessentially human capacity for symbolic thought and creative innovation may have emerged precisely because of this merging. This reframing transforms our understanding of human identity. We are not the product of a pure lineage, but a sophisticated synthesis, a species whose defining characteristics emerged from the creative potential unleashed when different human types combined. The implications extend beyond paleoanthropology. If hybridization sparked human cognitive potential, then diversity and integration, not purity and isolation, underlie our greatest evolutionary achievements. Mixture, not separation, made us who we are. This perspective offers a powerful counter-narrative to ideologies that have valorized notions of racial or ethnic purity throughout human history. Our greatest strengths may stem not from maintaining rigid boundaries between human populations, but from the creative potential released when diverse genetic and cultural lineages converge. It also transforms how we might view neurodiversity in contemporary populations. Certain cognitive variations that depart from statistical norms, some classified as disorders in modern medical frameworks, might actually represent the persistence of hybrid cognitive patterns that once drove human innovation. For the hybrid children themselves, those first-generation offspring of Neanderthal and modern human parents, the story was likely complex and varied. Some may have faced challenges integrating into either parent community. Others may have been valued precisely for their unique perspectives. Archaeological evidence of carefully buried individuals with mixed features suggests at least some hybrid offspring were fully incorporated into their communities. Their differences may have been recognized not as deficits, but as valuable contributions to group knowledge and capabilities. As generations passed, the initial stark distinctions would have blurred. Later descendants would carry varying proportions of Neanderthal ancestry, with certain beneficial combinations preserved by natural selection, while disadvantageous ones were gradually eliminated. This process of integration, selection, and refinement over thousands of generations has produced modern humanity, a species still carrying the genetic legacy of both parent populations, but blended into a new synthesis that transcends either original form. The creative potential unleashed by this hybridization transformed human culture and continues to influence human cognitive diversity today. We are, each of us, distant descendants of those original hybrid children, carriers of a dual heritage that made us truly human. In answering the question of what happened to the hybrid offspring of Neanderthals and modern humans, we have uncovered something far more significant than anticipated. The story of how we became fully human, not through replacement and competition, but through incorporation and synthesis. This isn't just a revision of human evolutionary history. It's a fundamental reframing of human identity. We are not the culmination of a single, superior lineage, but the product of a beautiful complexity, a species defined not by purity, but by the creative potential unleashed when different human worlds converged. The hybrid children of Neanderthals and modern humans didn't disappear. They became our ancestors. And in that transformation, they helped create the cognitive revolution that defines humanity, the capacity for symbolic thought, creative innovation, and cultural complexity that distinguishes us among Earth's creatures. As our exploration draws to a close, we're left with a profound realization. The story of human Neanderthal hybridization isn't just ancient history. It's a mirror reflecting fundamental truths about human nature and potential that remain relevant today. If the creative explosion that defined humanity emerged from the synthesis of different cognitive patterns, what might this suggest about our future? In an age of increasing genetic and cultural homogenization, are we unwittingly narrowing the very diversity that once sparked our greatest evolutionary innovations? Conversely, as globalization brings different human populations into increasing contact and exchange, might we be creating conditions for new forms of cultural synthesis with transformative potential? Could the mixing of diverse perspectives catalyze creative revolutions comparable to those of our distant past? The evidence we've examined challenges deep-seated assumptions about human identity. It suggests that our most human qualities, creativity, symbolic thinking, cultural innovation, may have emerged not from the triumph of a superior lineage, but from the revolutionary potential created when different human types merged. This perspective offers a powerful alternative to narratives that have historically emphasized competition, replacement, and purported superiority of certain human groups over others. Instead, it suggests that human evolutionary success has been driven by integration, adaptation, and synthesis. As we gaze into the shadowy past of our origins, we catch glimpses of those first hybrid children, individuals who carried two worlds within them and whose unique cognitive perspectives may have transformed what it means to be human. Their legacy lives on in our genes, our brains, and our capacity for innovation. Perhaps the most important lesson from our journey is this: the boundaries we create between human groups, whether based on geography, appearance, or culture, are far more permeable than we often acknowledge. Our greatest strengths may emerge precisely when these boundaries dissolve. Tonight, we've traced the hidden chapter of our origins, a story written not just in bones and artifacts, but in the very structure of our minds. As you drift towards sleep, consider this: the ghost of Neanderthal cognition may still whisper within you, influencing how you dream and offering perspectives from a world we have long forgotten.